I got to give a shout out to my brother Saint, because the way he broke that shit down about Nick Fuentes and a lot of these so-called white supremacists is they always come up with this trope that somehow white people are superior than black people due to the fact of lack of development in what you call Africa. And we all know the reason why it's been a lack of development, which a lot of these white folks like him and others are not going to call out how Africa has been exploited by the global north for its resources, economic development, and everything. They've been devoid of that due to the global north melting in the south. So if you deprive anybody of economic stability, economic growth, they have to deal with what cronyism in their countries of crony leaders that the Europeans or the global north puts in. Of course they're not going to develop. If you taking all their resources and use them for your own means, not giving nothing back, of course you're going to have them they're going to be developed. Nick Fuentes. It ain't that they not able to advance. They just you all taking and not giving back. And see, the thing is, these white supremacists always like Nick Fuentes. If you look at this little dorky ass dude, he couldn't get no white chick in high school because all the jocks, especially all big Tyronis Maximus, was with Becky, so he was in his feelings about it. Like typical white males like him, and then especially of him, he's of Cuban descent, so we could call him a damn descendant of a tether. See, we could destroy Nick Fuentes' arguments and not even have to really go deep. By the simple fact is, you are a descendant of people who left Cuba as refugees. In that case, why can't we just round your mama and your daddy up and send their ass back to Cuba, Nick Fuentes? Since your daddy and your Cuban family came over here as illegal migrants from Cuba. We can go there, Nick. But anyway, the Saint and Sarge Willie P break this shit down eloquently, because white supremacy is so sure their supremacy when we all told you, and I told you from a long time, white people have recessive DNA. Recessive DNA means they are not genetically as strong, as dominant as black DNA. So if they're so sure of their superiority, why they do everything to keep these African countries developed, keep black people from developing, if they're so sure of their dominance? If they're so sure of their white supremacist genetics and what you call genius thinking, well, then you all wouldn't have to stand in the way. You shouldn't have to stand in the way of other people's development then, right? If you all, like that, like Sword Willie P broke down so eloquently when Master Yoda was having a lightsaber fight with Darth Sidious, and he said, so sure of the dark side, so sure of the power of the dark side, why run? And see, that's a lot of what's going on. They'll try to tell you, oh, we somehow superior. The reality is they have an inferiority complex with themselves. That's why they have a fear of Africa and black people in general rising up, because they have a fear of somehow that they're going to be left behind again, or they're going to be right back trying to, they don't want to have to, grovel at black people's feet. The same people who they call inferior. Because for a long time, they've been doing shit to keep the global south, particularly Africa and Latin America, wherever people of color, trying to keep them basically in poverty while they abstract their wealth. If they were so dominant and so superior then, why they have to do all this stumbling blocks to keep other people in the global south in poverty? Why they can't operate in fairness? Because they know if they operate in fairness, they'll lose. So to me, if you're a dominant people, far as intellectually, you wouldn't have to do none of the shit you're doing. So that means you're not sure of your own dominance. You're not sure of your own superiority. You only can assume that you superior, but really you have a doubt of your superiority. In fact, you have an inferiority complex. So what you do, you go and package that and give it to self-hating Negroes who do your bidding. And they'll talk about black fatigue, because we all know the word, when they used the word fatigue, it was ripped off from white fatigue, which we actually, black people, really had. We was fatigued of all the shit that you was doing, all the gerrymandering, Jim Crow laws, eminent domain, convict leasing, COINTELPRO, the destruction of black thriving communities, the highway, the 55 Highway Act that drove highways through thriving black communities, the pushing of Iran-Contra affair, drug and weapons dumped in the black community. Yes, we had every goddamn right to be for white fatigue. But what you white people, you got some bootleg niggas running around here, men and women running around here talking about, like Anton Daniels, running around here talking about white fatigue, and then you gonna have Nick Fuentes explain to black people the so-called quote-unquote inferiority of black people. Give me a break. Give me a mother. And you got this Negro up here listening to this shit, taking this shit in. She really have an inferiority complex because, like I said, like the great David Curl said, most of y'all Negroes don't really read. Even the ones that consider themselves conservative black people, they don't take the time to even read literature, whether it be the liberal Negro or the conservative Negro. David Curl said, y'all Negroes don't really take time to even research while y'all sit up here and listen to Nick Fuentes spit this bullshit to y'all, because he got an inferiority complex with himself, because he went dating some of the hot white chicks, because they was always taken up by Tyrone's Maximus, like so as Willie Pete said. But all this shit is due to the lack that white people like him, like Nick Fuentes, Jared Taylor, Richard Spencer, David Duke, these white males have an inferiority complex with themselves. So most white men that have an inferiority complex with themselves gotta find somebody to feel dominant over. And when they run into somebody like me or the Saint or Sarge, Willie P, or somebody who's intellectually astute, they get destroyed, and they start, or Jason Black, they start walking back on all this shit, because now they can't deal with the questions or handle somebody that's intellectually, just as intellectually capable or more capable than them. You see what I mean? And that's why I tell, when you Negroes up here, listen to these conservative Negroes spit this shit about black fatigue, and then you want to try to, what you call, crash out at your own people, not giving a take on the situation why black people doing the shit they do, and how white people created, how the white supremacists, them same white people who talk about black fatigue, is the same motherfuckers that's responsible for the shit. When I called out all the shit right there, the lack of opportunities in the black community, prolonged exposure to poverty, what do you get? You get a criminal culture. And now, in a minute, you seeing that right there when the white people raided the Congress. They raided Congress, but white people ain't gonna call that shit out. If there was a whole bunch of black people doing that, they would have been, those niggas some savages. Those niggas some savages. You'll see all these, you will never hear the end of it, of these Peckerwoods calling saying shit about it. If it was a whole bunch of black people that did that, they would have been saying, all the humanity, all the humanity. But since, and forgive me, my voice a little harsh, a little raspy and shit, but white people always try to do this intellectual, dishonest talking points, and then they find some Negro bedwenches and bedbugs to do their bidding. And when them Negro bedwenches and bedbugs run into motherfuckers like me, and they get destroyed on an argument, the first thing they do is talk over you to keep you from voicing your opinion, because now it's no longer it's a debate, it's a shouting match of them shouting over you and you trying to, get a point across to the point where you just say, fuck it, I'm gone. And they actually literally think they won the debate. They act literally Negroes like that in the white talking point part of Negroes like him, like them, they always think they actually won the debate. When we all told you why you have criminal culture out of wedlock, women out of wedlock births, and then they ain't gonna tell you that Brad going down there laying up with all them, knocking all these black women up, and non-black men knocking all these black women up, and not motherfucking leaving them as single mamas. But they ain't gonna never talk about that. They ain't gonna never talk about that, how this white man go globally around the world, from Africa to Latin America to Southeast Asia, making bastard kids everywhere. But yeah, he want to talk about people having children out of wedlock. The hypocrisy of this white man, this pale man, the hypocrisy. And he know you can call that bullshit out. And then you listen to these white folks talk about black fatigue. Really? Really, black fatigue. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here with that retarded ass shit. Only thing you fatigued about is motherfuckers telling the truth, who know the pathological mindsets that you white males have. And y'all are pathological. Y'all want to talk about all the crime that everybody else commit, all the shit y'all commit. Hold on. What to do, brother?
Just back in or you been here?
I've been here waiting on this. Okay. My bad for interrupting the guy, back at the door, capstone people. But black fatigue is white people complaining about black people telling the truth. Black people telling the truth about their pathological behavior. That's all the shit is. And then furthermore, white people always want to try to basically project all their criminality on us. Yes, we black people do crime. Most of the crimes we do, they got to deal with the narco drug trade and shit like that, and gang violence, which is primarily predicated in the black community. It ain't really, it's just now starting to pour out, but that's like what me and Sarge Willie Pete said, that's their fault. Them new gremlins, they created. They created their whole situation. Like I told Charles and White, I said, in order for you can't just say, oh, these black people doing this like the shit in a vacuum. Like black people doing this, these young black men doing this shit in a vacuum when this culture was created. Due to prolonged exposure to poverty, lack of opportunities, no resources in the community, no gainful employment, where you can make a livable wage, and now, guess who else getting affected by this shit right now? The same people that was complaining, that was saying black people lazy, are the same white people the white people telling them that they are lazy and don't want to do shit. Them same white people that were telling black people, they're telling white people that. Young white men that they lazy and they need to have pulled themselves up by the bootstraps. I like, damn, ain't they saying the same shit that they said to us, to their own people? Wow. Huh. Yeah, they saying the same thing to the white folks, the white boys, that they said to black American. We need to stop complaining and pull ourselves up by bootstraps. The only thing is, white folks, the boomers, they had motherfucking bootstraps. We didn't have none. And see, all this is because they rich, wealthy, white elite don't want to pay shit. Damn, I got a mirror Sarge Willie P. But other than that, as far as black fatigue, these white folks running and saying black fatigue, and y'all niggas up there, oh boy, fatigue, right along with them, y'all niggas are stupid. Because y'all don't do y'all don't have no critical thinking skills. Y'all just want to come out and say shit about your own black people and your own people not knowing the cause and effect of shit. But I digress.